Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, Fort Point. How are you this morning? I know everybody who's laughing and giggling and snacking on Mrs. Skinner's oatmeal cookies. Get out here. Leave some for me. Come on now. Bring it on in. Bring it on in. This morning, there's a lot been going on YouTube this week. I don't know if you've been paying attention to all that. So, in order to keep up with the cool kids out there, we're going to do our own little YouTube showdown. We're going to look at a couple viral videos. And we've done this before. You have to determine which of these viral videos has more views. All right, so here's the first set. Potentially, I think we're working. Mean Cat. What's that dance called? The Voss? Flossing? Oh, really?
Jimmy, they said something about flossing.
Yeah.
And all these kids. And I'm like, well, why would you be doing that in the living room?
What, flossing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're telling me to dance.
Can you floss, Jimmy?
No.
No?
No, but I can tell you.
Can anybody here floss? Emma? Is she? Is she hiding? All right. Of those two videos, do you think it's the Revenge of the Goats or the Flossing Grandpa has the most views? Flossing Grandpa? Let's see. Let's see what happens here. Yes, Flossing Grandpa. He's got 24 million views as opposed to only 6 million views. So people out there enjoy something about flossing grandpas. I don't know. If you want to hit it big, there's your chance, grandpas. All right. Number 2. Attack of the Killer Dolphin, or I don't even know. I better not say what's going on in my mind now, so we're going to leave that one untitled. Which one do you feel has more views? The untitled one? Number 2? Number 2? You think so? Let's see here. Oh, number 5. Oh, here it is. Here's the answer. It's in the wrong spot. Revenge of the Killer Dolphin, 3 million views versus this guy hasn't even struck a million. I don't know. He's got to add to his landing, I think, a little bit more if he expects to get more views there. All right, here's the next one. Little baby otter. This is little baby Ottertons from Zootopia. Or the Sleeping Chihuahua. Shh. If this is torture, chain me to the wall. All right, which one? Which do you think is cuter and is thus garnished more YouTube views? Yeah, the baby otter? Steven is going with the... It's more his lifestyle, I think, is the... that's why he went with that one. All right, here's the next one here.
Vai pra frente, Dora!
Hopefully none of you are bowlers that way, but just in case, which one do you feel has more YouTube views there? Crazy Snowman or Crazy Bowler? Crazy Snow, 151 million versus 9 million over there. Crazy Bowler lady. All right, last one here. I wish you could see that in HD, guys. You'd probably appreciate a little bit more. Some kind of apocalypse animal there coming to Eat the World. Which one has gotten more views there on YouTube? The number two? Number two is the general consensus. Yes, number two there with some 2 million, something like that. Poor little girl hasn't even gotten a million. She's a failure at life. And keeping with the trends of the week here, a little challenge for all of you.
Laurel. Laurel. Laurel.
What do you hear?
Laurel. 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 Laurel.
Is everybody hearing Laurel?
Laurel.
Do you hear Yanni?
Laurel.
Oh, you just...
Laurel. 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 Laurel.
So did everybody hear Laurel? Oh, good. Then all of your ears are working exactly the same as they should be. Big controversy this week. There's whether or not you hear a Laurel or Yanni, depending on the frequency of which you're hearing thing. Is kind of depends on all that. So if you didn't get a chance to see some of the fun videos online for Yanni versus Laurel, I encourage you to check those out. Well, welcome to Ford Point. We're so glad that you're here. We love kind of laughing and giggling together. That's some fun YouTube videos this week, and next week it'll probably be something else. But we're glad you participated in that. If you're with us for the first time, or maybe just recently been joining us here at Ford Point, we would love the opportunity to be able to connect with you. If you want to text the word welcome to the phone number you see there on your screen, 315-883-2213, then we would love the opportunity to be able to connect with you and touch bases with you for what's going on here at Ford Point, and just to make ourselves available to you. Next up, we want to show you a quick commercial for our family movie night coming up tomorrow, the movie Coco.
Once every year, our ancestors come back to our world.
Please have a safe journey.
To see family and friends. But no living person has ever visited their world. Until now.
All right, who's in there?
I'm sorry. What's going on? Dante, wait up! You gotta stay with me, boy. We don't know where we are. I'm just dreaming.
Do you mind?
Miguel? What is going on?
Remind me how I know you?
They're your family. We have to get you back home.
Welcome! Anything to declare?
As a matter of fact, yes.
So tomorrow is our free family movie night. Tomorrow is going to be showing Coco, so if you're at all able to join us for that, or if you have some friends or even strangers that you want to invite to that, we encourage you to do so. I know we have a series of different invite cards in the back there with the free family movie night information on there that you can pick up on your way out if you have some people in mind, or maybe want to be intentional about seeing some people this week that you can invite to that. So we would love for you to join us in inviting people to our free family movie night. Our night starts at 6. And then coming up is our annual, second annual, garage sale that we're going to be having at the Midler House down the street. Last year was kind of our first go at it, and we had a lot of fun, and we were able to raise quite a bit of money for the church here and for different events and scholarship type of things. So we're going to do it again. So the information for that is going to be the second week in June, and the dates escape me off the top of my head, but it's the second weekend in June. 8th and 9th of June, and we're accepting donations. So if you have any items that you're looking to maybe clean house for, then we would love to take those as long as we can sell them for some kind of monetary value. We don't want to just be an intermediate stage between you and the trash. We'll take all of your some semi-gently used or worthwhile items. You can donate them, as well as we're looking for volunteers to kind of help us price things or work the event. or move things. So if you are at all able or interested or have some items that you could donate, if you want to touch base with Jackie, is kind of heading it up. Jackie would be happy to touch base with you, as well as there's a sign-up sheet back at the info center to be able to sign up for any one of those areas that they are in need of for the event. All right. And then again, last, if you came this morning looking to give, we have a couple different ways for you to be able to do that. In person, you can give at the Joy Box in the back there, or you can give online at the church's website, forwardpoint.org. And then last but not least, you can give any amount by texting the short code there, 84321, and then the amount that you would like to give, and that will allow you to give right from your phone there, okay? And then one more thing before we go, as we're talking about money, you know, there's some things, especially like today, that we would like to be able to do to make the experience here at Forward Point a little bit better. As you may or may not know, it is a little bit of a walk between the parking that we have in the back and the front door, right? In a day like today when it's a little wet and rainy, it'd be nice to be able to have some umbrellas to be able to help people in their journey and create kind of some touch points back there. So we're looking to be able to raise some money to be able to buy some things, a tent for the back that has the Forward Point logo on there, as well as some Forward Point umbrellas and a couple other Forward Point things that we'd like to have just as part of our kind of growth here in helping to promote the building and for some things that we want to do over the summer. So if you are at all able to give towards that, there is a local businessman, the Don of Eastwood, who Skinner Realty is willing to match dollar for dollar everything that's given towards this goal. So if you're able to give to that, we're looking to raise $3,000. And so if we can get $1,500, then Skinner Realty will donate $1,500, and we'll be able to get all these things. So you can mark that on your giving, again, either back at the Joy Box, you can mark that specifically for that, or when you give online or through your phone, okay? So if you guys would, go ahead and stand to your feet. We're going to do some high-fiving here this morning as we transition into our worship through music. So we'll see you guys back in a little bit.
Before I ever cry, you answer me from where the thunder hides. I can't outrun this heart I'm tethered to. With every step, I collide with you. Like a tidal wave crashing over me, rushing in to meet me here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. Your love is fierce. You cannot fail. You cannot fail. The only thing I found is through it all, you never let me down. You don't hold back, relentless in pursuit. At every turn, I come face to face with you. Like a tidal wave crashing over me, rushing in to meet me here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce, like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing in to meet me here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. Hey, you chase me down. You chase me down. You seek me out. How could I be lost when you have called me found? You chase me down. You seek me out. How could I be lost when you have called me found? You chase me down. You seek me out. How could I be lost when you have called me found? You chase me down. You chase me down. You seek me out. How could I be lost when you have called me found? Like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing in to meet me here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Sing that again, like a tidal wave. Love is fierce, like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing in to meet me here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. Your love is fierce. Your love is fierce. Yes, Father. Your love is fierce. Yes, Father. How fierce is His love for us this morning, church? Thank you, Father. This next song is actually new to us here this morning. And this song has spoken to me quite a bit in my life. In the original, It Is Well with My Soul, I don't know if you know the story behind it, but it was written from a place of great sorrow and sadness. And I think it's just amazing that even in our darkest moments and the times when we feel like we can't go on, we can still be at peace and rest in the Father's love. So I just pray it encourages you this morning, as it has me many times in my life. My eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know his name. We're going to sing that again this morning. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. The waves and wind still know his name. I'm just going to sing it as well. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, Lord. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. Sing that out this morning, church. With my soul. It is well, Lord. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, Lord. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well with me. Yes, Father, it is well. Thank you, Jesus. You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes, and then fear surrounds me. You've never failed, and you won't start now. So I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Father, you are mine, Lord. Spirit, lead me. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. My faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. My faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. My soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours, and you are mine. Yes, Father, you are mine, Lord. We lift your name up this morning, Jesus. Thank you for being ours, as we are yours, Father. I am yours, and you are mine. Thank you, Jesus.
Okay, am I on? All right, good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? Hey, wasn't that nice? Have Jay and Becky and Tina and Natalie there. Come on, Brian, leading the way. Wow. I told it's I might have to get used to this retirement. No, joking. No, it's all good. It's great. You know what? Our goal is for people to step into their calling and their purpose, and share things, share the wonders of being able to serve in every capacity here. I don't want to trip over anything here. I'm always nervous over here, okay? This guitar is probably worth more than the palace. Okay, here we go. All right. We all doing all right? Rain didn't keep you guys away. It might have kept a few other people away. Okay, volume all right over here? Okay. Well, again, real quick, morning to everyone here. Any guests that are here? I can't see everyone out there, but any guests, welcome. Thank you for being here today. Anyone jumping on? Chris, are we doing YouTube? Are we doing? Okay, YouTube live streaming. Again, welcome anyone who's jumped on, joining us, going to watch it. Glad you are here this morning with us, spending your wet, soggy Sunday here. But it's all right. It's dry inside. We got a new roof here. But nonetheless, we are in the second week of a 3-week series called Character. So we took a little sabbatical due to our wonderful mothers last week here. We had Bill Norton share again about unlikely women that God used to be in the lineage of Christ. It was a wonderful, inspiring message. But the week before, Jimmy kicked us off on this message called Characters, where you saw a little glimpse there on that short little video there, and where we are learning about how God used, again, 3, I would say, unlikely people, and how they demonstrated godly character in their life. So, again, characters, but character. Most people these days focus on reputation. And I have a little quick definition I think they'll put on the screen here. And here's the difference. Reputation is what others see on the outside. Character is what God sees on the inside. I'll just repeat that one more time right here. Reputation is what others see on the outside, while character is what God sees on the inside. Sometimes to live out godly character in our lives, we will lose reputation. So first week, Jimmy touched on in John chapter 4, a woman, a Samaritan woman at the well. And I won't go into all the great detail. We don't even know a lot of her backstory. We sort of like piecemeal things together. But bottom line is she went to the well in an unlikely time of the day, knowing what she knew about God. And yet when she walked away, she actually had a personal encounter and got to know him and how God used her through that. This week, we are actually going to talk about another person that is not mentioned very often in the Bible, and that is Jonathan, all right? Anyone ever heard of the name Jonathan here? A few people out there? Okay, great. So Jonathan, just for, again, the record here, is King Saul's son, okay? And his best friend was named David, all right? We don't have a lot of his, again, his life story. He's not, again, not a major figure in the Bible, but his character was lived out. So much so that it cost him everything to live that character, including his own life. His father, again, being Saul, was the first king of Israel. His story is found primarily in the book of 1 Samuel. And yes, his best friend, as I mentioned, was David. And again, not just any David, as I would say, the David. David and Goliath David. David, the worshiper of God. David, a man after God's own heart, David. The shepherd boy, David. David, both the musician, and if you've ever read that big book in the Bible right in the middle called the Psalms, primarily written by David. And eventually, King David. So that David was his best friend. Instead of giving you more back history, we have a little modern day video prepared by the Character series here. I'm going to let you watch this short little video first to give you an idea of Jonathan.
I didn't believe him at first. I mean, who would? You know, who wants to believe that your dad is capable of killing someone? Especially your best friend. Yeah, David is my best friend. probably seen him around. I mean, you would know if you did. He's pretty popular. All the girls think he's hot. The dude never fails. It's kind of sickening, really. Need somebody to herd some sheep? David's your man. You got some animals you need somebody to kill with their bare hands? He'll take care of it. Harp player? Think Jimi Hendrix, only vertical strings. Got a giant you need taken care of? It's no problem. You would think that, you know, he'd be a jerk, but he's not. He's really cool. He's the kind of friend that's more like a brother, you know? Yeah, David is definitely my best friend. My name is Jonathan. My dad is the king, King Saul. Don't hate me because I'm the prince. It's not all it's cracked up to be, okay? For instance, my dad pays people to follow me around all the time. I mean, there are a lot of people around, but usually they just want something from you. It's hard to find good friends. I mean, nobody really knows me, except for David, which I think is why it was so hard for me to believe what he was saying. But I guess it all started when Samuel, the priest, he said that God had chosen somebody else to be king. Then Samuel anoints David and says that he's going to be the next king. Then David kills Goliath. And my dad makes David the head over all of his military. David wins all of these battles. And then everybody starts saying that they want David to be the next king and not me. So my dad's pretty bent out of shape about this. I mean, I talked to him about it. You know, I pointed out that David had not actually done anything wrong. He seemed to understand. I mean, he said everything was cool, that he was over it, that there was nothing wrong between him and David. Look, I know what it looks like, but trust me, I would not do anything to hurt David. He is my friend. Friends are friends. They're loyal. And that means something. I tried to tell him that he was getting worked up over nothing. I mean, my dad tells me everything, and he didn't share any plans with me about wanting to axe my best friend. David told me that's probably not a plan that my dad would share with me, which made sense. He told me that my dad had been acting strange for a while, that he'd been throwing spears at him. And that's when I could tell that he was really serious. So I wanted to know if there was anything I could do to help. David reminded me that my dad was going to be throwing a party the next day, and he told me that he wasn't going to show up. What he wanted me to do was watch my dad's reaction. If nothing happened, that meant everything was cool. But, you know, if my dad got angry, then that meant that there were some serious problems. So the party started. At first, it didn't seem to matter that David wasn't there, but then after a while, my dad asked me where David was at, and I said he had a family issue come up and that he wasn't going to be coming. And my dad lost it. I mean, he started screaming. He told me he wanted me to bring David to the party so that he could kill him. I mean, I was crushed. I mean, this is my dad. He even threw a spear at me. He tried to kill me, his own son. So, I mean, I had told David to go hide, to go somewhere where my dad couldn't find him. I don't know how this is going to end. I may never see David again. But as we were saying goodbye, David reminded me that friends are loyal no matter what, and nothing is going to change that. I mean, this has cost me a lot. I lost my best friend. My dad has gone crazy. I probably won't ever be the king now. I might even lose my life. But I'd do it again. I would do it again. No doubt about it. Friends are loyal. And that means something. My name is Jonathan, and that's my story.
Okay. Anyone ever have any family drama before? No, come on. No. Workplace drama? Any workplace drama? Yeah. We'll skip the question of church drama. And nothing ever, any drama, it all goes on at church. Come on, we all love each other here. This is all great. Never any church drama, but yeah. Anyone here ever been falsely accused before? Ooh, wow. Yikes. How about when you've been accused of being a traitor, when you're living out godly character in your life, and when the people around you that you love dearly are causing you to be torn inside? Before I jump a little more into Jonathan's dilemma here, which is quite a dilemma, I was reflecting on different things in my life where I had taken a stand or a decision and had to put godly character over reputation, to the point where you might have to lose reputation to continue on with your character. And it brought me to some different newspaper articles that I've had in my life. And so obviously one was somewhat recent. I took a stand locally when I heard about the building next door here to the theater was going to be torn down just for a parking lot. And I knew the building has not had any major use over the last decade, but that didn't stop me from saying, hey, we believe in restoring things, not just tearing things down. So we took a stand along with other community members, and we definitely got favor there. The owners were not allowed to take down the building, and hopefully it will be used correctly in the near future. Also, I have been written up for another measure there. We're definitely with tension there. Over 12 years ago, there was a newspaper article that came out in the paper, and I'm sure some of you already know this story, but of a father giving birth, or, well, not giving, that'd be really bad, giving birth. I had nothing to do with it, but then on the other hand, maybe, okay, so, no, the fact that my wife was going into labor in the middle of the night with twins, unexpectedly, in the front page news, which was quite hysterical, read, Dad calls 911 and says, "What now?" question mark. That was quite hysterical. So, yeah, that's, I've been written up that way. But one that I had forgotten about that the Lord just brought back to my mind, where really took the tension of my character versus reputation and where do you take sides and being torn inside, was about 9 years ago, 10 years ago, when an article in the paper, no joke, please don't leave the building, but an article in the paper read, Christian bookstore owner supports adult video store on James Street. Wasn't that a nice little article? So, yes, Linda. So before you guys all be like, okay, where am I? Where's the nearest exit? It is there and there, but don't leave. I thought about that and where did that all come from? So, again, to fill you in a little bit on that backstory was, most of you know that I live and breathe for this community. I have last 15 years has literally been serving, sweeping, restoring homes. My heart is to incubate businesses here. I have basically laid my life down for this little village here so people can live, work, and play. However, many other people at that time were taking a stand because there was so many vacant structures and buildings on James Street at that time. So instead of letting the neighborhood continue a downward spiral, many individuals came together and said, we need to take a stand, we'll build a committee. So I got introduced to some of those committees of helping our neighborhood businesses, come together, and neighbors. And so obviously, I think because of my entrepreneurial background and I'm very zealous, hardworking, didn't take long before they noticed. They said, this is the guy we want as our poster child to lead the way, to be that guy that helps us be our spokesman for our neighborhood. So through different committees and then eventually with other business owners, they developed the local Chamber of Commerce, and they put me in as sort of the head of that Chamber of Commerce for multiple years. So it was during that time a developer, because there were so many vacant buildings and a lot of our corner buildings here did not look the way they do now here. So there was a developer that came in that said, hey, we want to bring a national chain video store there. Now, again, that national chain does derive part of their sales, which again, everyone was in uproar, but over adult films. So the topic was very heavy and very heated and many meetings. But the issue really at hand, there was two things. One was the neighbors did not like that, and they were so opinionated, the businesses were so opinionated that they wanted to see what they wanted to see. We want to rid ourselves of any business that, that they don't care for. But in a free market society, we don't necessarily have that right to do that. We can use our voice, give our say, but if the building is zoned for a certain purpose, you can't stop it. However, the loophole was that they wanted to literally tear down the building, devise it differently. Hence, I got in the mix because the neighbors were picketing and going to all these zoning meetings, and they wanted to find out who's the main voice of the business area, and so they came to me for an article because they wanted me to take a stand with my wonderful neighbors that were, again, saying we don't want this business here because of what they do and what they stand for. However, meeting with me, I had a big decision. There wasn't anything in the law stating they could not open a business. There was guidelines that had to be followed, that if they weren't followed, the building could not be turned into what they want. So where the news media person continued to try to help steer the question toward a certain way and get me to be all heated up like everyone else, I continued to say I am not an advocate for what they believe, or I'm not taking any stance toward this business coming in. But our differences are not with the business. It is about how they are designing the building, and that should be our stand. And from there, they decided to not take anything that I had to share about my personal values and my wishes that I don't really want to see this. Instead, they just said because I would not take a stand 100% against it, that somehow I was for it, and then hence the article comes out, Christian business owner supports adult video store. Just like that, you can maybe look it up in the archives. It was quite a riot there, so that definitely got some eyebrows raised throughout the community, and I had some explaining to do. I didn't leave though, I hung in there. So yes, it was quite hysterical. So most people that would know me would know I wouldn't support that, but this is where my personal reputation and even my personal character couldn't be trumped by my godly character to speak the truth. And the truth was that business can be allowed, however, these are the exceptions that we made. So I was torn inside. Who do I favor with? So too with Jonathan. His character was put to the test, being torn between his family and his best friend. What is he going to do? You see, there's no greater honor probably for a father, especially when your father is the king of Israel, the first king of Israel. And the prophet Samuel had gone to Saul and helped by the Lord telling him, this will be your next king, or this will be the first king of Israel, had also told Saul that if you obey the Lord's commands, your lineage will continue to sit on the throne. But Jonathan's father, Saul, disobeyed. And the Lord went to the prophet Samuel and said, a new king we will be selecting. And that king was going to be David. No blood relation at all to Saul. But Jonathan, who was King Saul's son, and David, over time became best of friends, to literally King Saul's dismay. They got to know each other through battles and spending time with one another. But now, due to David being anointed to be the next king, he was Saul's number one enemy. Now remember, David, who again defeated Goliath, was in Saul's army, had won him many battles, played his harp for King Saul to soothe him. But the evil spirit inside King Saul was raging and desiring to eliminate David. This was Jonathan's dilemma. His best friend David, so close that the Bible even says that they were one in spirit. And yet, as the video said, Saul wanted his son Jonathan to lure David in so he could be taken captive and killed. Even King Saul kept telling Jonathan, would play David against him, saying, this is the guy who's standing in the way of you inheriting the throne. And that if he protects his friend, one, he would not inherit the throne, but two, he would be disobeying his father's orders. But Jonathan had loyalty, and his character was beyond just blood and reputation. So he and David devised a plan to see if his father was truly desiring to kill him. We're going to pick it up here in 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 24 through 34. So David hid in the field, and when the new moon feast came, the king sat down to eat. He sat in his customary place by the wall, opposite Jonathan, and Abner sat next to Saul. But David's place was empty. Saul said nothing that day, for he thought something must have happened to David to maybe make him ceremonially unclean. Surely he must be just unclean. But the next day, the second day of the month, David's place was again empty. Then Saul said to his son, Jonathan, why hasn't the son of Jesse come to the meal, either yesterday or today? Jonathan answered, David earnestly asked me for permission to go to Bethlehem. He said, let me go because our family is observing a sacrifice in the town, and my brother has ordered me to be there. If I have found favor in your eyes, let me get away to see my brothers. That is why he has not come to the king's table. Saul's anger flared up at Jonathan, and he said to him, you son of a perverse and rebellious woman, don't I know that you have sided with that son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of the mother who bore you? As long as the son of Jesse lives on this earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established. Now send someone to bring him to me, for he must die. Jonathan now speaks up. Why should he be put to death? What has he done? Jonathan asked his father. But Saul hurled his spear at him to kill him. Then Jonathan knew that his father intended to kill David. Jonathan got up from the table in fierce anger on the second day of the feast. He did not eat because he was grieved at his father's shameful treatment of David. Jonathan knew what he had to do. He would have to honor the character inside. Godly character. What did we say what the definition was of godly character? is what people see. Not what's in front of you, that's reputation, but what God sees on the inside when no one is looking. Jonathan's character of loyalty, honor, friendship, love was higher than any of his personal desires to become king or his reputation. The way the story plays out, and I would encourage you to read that story, starting in around chapter 14 of 1 Samuel, going right on through maybe 6, 7, 8 chapters. But eventually what would play out is that Saul and Jonathan would be killed in battle. And David would be set in eventually as king. We all go through drama. We all go through conflict. We go through things that are raging inside us, where our reputation is on the line, or who do we serve? Who do we back? If you're struggling with personal conflict right now, family drama, workplace drama, community drama, we cannot leave God, church, out of our messes. He has to be in the middle of it. We have to bring him into it. Few things I wrote down here. Start by asking God for his peace. In John chapter 14, 27, Jesus says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give it to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." The kind of peace that you will receive from Jesus when you ask him to be in your message, church, it's not a truce or a treaty. Sometimes, yes, you have to have when you're in an argument with it could be your spouse or whatever, sometimes you have to literally say, okay, let's agree to disagree. We're going to walk away. It's almost like a little bit of peace treaty. You don't want to kill each other. You sometimes just have to walk away. But when you're asking for the peace of Christ to be in and through you and to be in the midst of your messes, it's not going to be just a truce or a treaty or a little timeout. You're asking for restoration. You're asking him here to be in your midst, a peace that will pass all understanding. It won't be the peace that the world will give. Second, ask him for healing. Luke chapter 4, 18 and 19. Jesus is reading from Isaiah 61. A few weeks ago when we did Family Sunday, they talked about the prophet Isaiah, and they've been learning in kids ministry and how God spoke a word to Isaiah, and Isaiah wrote down a lot of the prophecies that would come to pass eventually. Well, Jesus is reading from Isaiah 61, and it says, the Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to release or to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. In life, I don't care what you're doing or where you're going through, you will have cuts, scrapes, and bruises along the way. Both in relationships, in and through family, through your workplace, you will have cuts and bruises. Many of us, when we get a physical cut or bruise on us, you take out a Band-Aid. Sometimes, even especially with kids, if you ever do it with kids, somehow it's funny that the cut's still there, but somehow that little ointment and a little Band-Aid, all of a sudden you kiss it, and sometimes they walk off and they end up doing it again. But still, they're just like back to normal. So sometimes even in ourselves, when we suffer emotional cuts, we just want a Band-Aid. But here's the thing. As most of us know here, Band-Aids don't always work in relationships. That's why Jesus needs to be our healer. And we ask him for his healing. He didn't say here in Luke chapter 4 that he's going to put a Band-Aid on it. No, Proclaim good news to the poor. Proclaim freedom to set the oppressed free. To proclaim the favor of God has now come. No matter what scars we carry from our past, a scar can also be a reminder of how through trusting God from our past, that our weaknesses can become our strengths for the future. So bring God into your relationships through asking him for his peace. 2, asking him for healing. And 3, asking him for growth. Sometimes when we go through things, we want God just to make things the way they were. You talk to people and they'll talk about the good old days. Oh, the good old days, of this and that building or this house or that house. And sometimes people just want things to be the way they were. The problem is when you're dealing in messy relationships, children, family, workplaces, what a parent did to you, what a spouse did to you, what your neighbor did to you, a boss did to you. Things just don't always go back the way they were. There'll be a time where you may have to ask God to grow you into something new. It reminds me of the story of Humpty Dumpty. We've all probably read the book or heard the book of Humpty Dumpty. And when he fall and cracked, he wanted to put it back together again. But you cannot just put some things back together again. It might be something, if you ever remember you breaking a vase as a kid, or you doing something, or you broke a toy and you tried shoving it back together and it never quite operates correctly again. We need to ask God to help us, to grow us into something new. Jonathan was faced with this dilemma with David when he was going to go to him and say to him, you need to go. You need to run. He's going to come after and kill you. My friendship with you that has lasted for years, and it's been so wonderful and so amazing, and I wish it could just continue, and I don't care if you're going to be king. I just want to be your friend. But due to my father's hatred, I have to release you. I have to tell you to go. In 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 42, it says, Jonathan said to David, go in peace, for we have a sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord is witness between you and me and between your descendants and my descendants forever. And it says, then David left and Jonathan went back to town. Things were never going to be the same again. Things were broken. In the end, the messy relationship that was between David, Saul, and Jonathan could never be put back. However, Jonathan's character of showing kindness and mercy and loyalty for his friend made David's heart that much closer to God's heart, that even when down the road he heard that Saul, who had been chasing him for years to try to kill him, when he heard of Saul's death and Jonathan's death, he mourned them equally. I'm going to ask Jay just to come up here, and as we close this out. You and I may never experience that level of relationship strain. You and I might not ever get to a point where we're having to decide to tell someone to run because if they're going to be hunting us down with a spear or try to kill us. But we need, church, we need to ask God to come into our messy relationships. A lot of times because, I don't know, maybe it's just the thought that, well, hey, we're a Christian now. There's certain things. I have my church life on Sunday, and I have my other 6 days a week life. And somehow we put the disconnect and saying, well, I can handle this. We need to ask God to come in the middle of our messes. Family messes, work-related messes. Bring in his peace. Bring in his healing. And bring in his growth. So that we don't miss out on his purpose and desire for our lives. Church, let's choose character over reputation, knowing that God knows what's going on in our heart over what everyone else sees. Let's just take a moment and just pray for a second. You may be sitting there and there's something heavy on your heart. It might be a relationship tension that you're going through right now today. And you haven't brought God into it. Maybe your thought has been more about being focused on revenge or getting even versus the peace that passes all understanding. Maybe you got a cut right now that's open and it's bleeding and you're bruised and hurting. But you're not turning it over to the Lord because you're too ashamed of it. Ask him for his healing, church. Maybe you're sitting there and you're broken. And you're trying to find a way to put everything back together. We could just be maybe the way we were. The more you try, more and more you realize you can't. You need to ask him for something new and for his growth. David said, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Because you, O Lord, comfort me. You, O Lord, protect me. You, O Lord, are my shepherd. He is our sustainer. He is the giver of life, church. Father, I pray right now for every single person here right now that you would just invade their space and they would allow you to give them your peace, your healing, and your growth. If they're sitting there right now and they say, you know what? I've been on the fringe. I don't even know if I know you. You're like maybe the woman at the well, and you're sitting there and you think you have these ideas of what you know about God, but you don't know him. And he wants God, may you meet them where they're at. And may they open their heart. Work on all of us. We can begin a relationship today. We can trust you, God. I thank you that we can bring you into our messes. And that you love us unconditionally. And that through the life of Christ, the perfect demonstration of showing us the Father's heart. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Please mingle, hang out afterwards, make sure you're known. Again, make sure people come up around you and whatever, you high five and eat away. A bunch of goodies out there too. And again, Life Group.